The Tun believes it has seen every kind of scandal. But nothing, absolutely nothing, has prepared them for the truth Sophie Beckett carries in the shadows. A truth sharp enough to cut through titles, reputations, and even the powerful name of Bridgerton, because Sophie is not who she seems. Her life is a quiet storm, waiting for the perfect moment to tear through London society. And when her secret finally rises to the surface, it won't just change her fate. It may destroy everything, and ever Sophie Beckett enters the world not as a celebrated daughter, but as a silent embarrassment. She is the illegitimate child of an earl born into privilege, but denied every comfort of it. Her father, too proud to admit his mistake and too guilty to abandon her, brings her into his home under the excuse of charity. To the outside world, Sophie is simply a ward, nothing more. Nothing close to what she truly is. And as she grows, the walls of the grand estate whisper the truth she is never allowed to speak. She belongs to this world, and yet is forbidden from claiming it. Everything shifts when the Earl remarries. His new wife, Araminta, sees Sophie not as a child, but as a rival living proof of her husband's unfaithfulness. From the moment she arrives, Araminta's hatred blooms like poison. And when the Earl dies, that poison finally spills over. With his death, every small protection Sophie had crumbles. Araminta seizes control of the household, stripping Sophie of her place and her worth. Overnight, Sophie is turned from a young woman of quiet dignity into a servant forced to scrub floors she once walked upon with pride. But even in the darkest corners of the estate, Sophie carries something powerful: hope. A belief that life can be more than scraped knuckles and whispered insults. She learns to survive through silence, through patience, through a strength she does not yet realize she possesses. Every task, every order, every cruel remark only sharpens her spirit. And though she wears an apron instead of silk, she never lets the world forget that she is more than her circumstances. Her kindness remains steady, her gentleness does not break, and her will to dream becomes her greatest rebellion. Yet beneath all of this lies the truth she keeps buried. She is the daughter of a nobleman, a fact that could raise her or ruin her. If the Tun ever learned who she truly was, it would open a wound deep enough to bleed through every corner of society. But for now, Sophie hides her secret like a fragile flame, small, warm, and dangerous. A flame that will one day ignite a story powerful enough to shake the Bridgertons themselves. Wyone. Tied to her, in a world where Sophie is meant to stay unseen, destiny gives her one stolen night of freedom. The night of Lady Bridgerton's grand masked ball arrives like a breath of magic. The estate glows with lanterns, music spills through every doorway, and every guest hides behind a glittering mask. For once, the Tun's sharp eyes cannot judge by status, wealth, or last name. And behind borrowed silk and lace, Sophie finds a chance to exist not as a servant, but as the girl she might have been. She slips into the shimmering gown the maids whisper about, a dress she was never meant to touch. With trembling hands, she ties her mask and steps onto the dance floor into a life that was never hers to claim. The moment she enters, the room almost seems to hush around her, though no one truly knows her name. She moves through the crowd, with quiet wonder, each step a rebellion against the chains that bind her daily life. But fate wastes no time, because standing across the ballroom, watching her with a gaze that cuts through the crowd, is Benedict Bridgerton. Charming, restless, a dreamer trapped in the rules of high society, Benedict sees Sophie as if she were a burst of light in a dark room. He cannot explain it, but something about her presence pulls him closer. As if he has been waiting for her without knowing it, their eyes meet. And for one heartbeat, Sophie forgets every rule that has ever kept her silent. Benedict approaches, offering his hand, and she accepts before fear can whisper no. As they dance, the world narrows to the warmth of his touch, the soft spin of the room, the feeling that, for the first time in her life, she is not invisible. Benedict does not ask for her title, her wealth, or her history. He sees only the girl. Behind the mask is a girl with a quiet smile and a secret she cannot share. But even as the music wraps around them, Sophie knows the clock is ticking. Midnight approaches like a warning, reminding her that borrowed beauty never lasts. She cannot stay. She cannot let him fall for a lie. So when the final song ends, she slips away through the corridors, heart racing, breath trembling, leaving nothing behind but the memory of a single night that should never have happened. Benedict searches for her through the gardens, the halls, the shadows, but Sophie is already gone, and yet the spark between them refuses to fade. Because even though Sophie ran, the masked ball has changed everything. Benedict is determined to find her, and Sophie, returning to her life of servitude, carries the memory of his touch like a bruise on her heart. Proof that she once lived a moment of impossible joy, a moment that will soon pull her back into a world she thought she had escaped forever. Sophie's life returns to cold reality the moment her borrowed gown is taken off and folded away, as if the night at the masked ball was only a dream. But dreams leave echoes, and Sophie carries hers like a weight she's afraid to drop. Because beneath the quiet rhythm of her daily tasks, a secret beats against her ribs, growing louder every time she remembers Benedict's eyes on her. The truth she hides is not small. It is powerful enough to lift her into the world she longs for or crush her beneath it. Sophie Beckett is not just a servant. She's the illegitimate daughter of an earl, a truth wrapped in shame, anger, and danger. Every day, she walks through her father's estate knowing she has a claim to it, yet no right to speak it. Every order she follows, every insult she swallows, reminds her that the life she deserves is locked behind a door she is forbidden to open. And the key to that door is the very secret that could ruin her. If the Tun ever discovered her bloodline, whispers would explode into scandal. The Earl's charity case would become a living confession of his betrayal. His name, his marriage, his legacy, everything would be dragged through the mud. And Sophie would be blamed for the destruction. Even though she is the one who has suffered the most, Araminta, her stepmother, knows this, and she uses that knowledge like a weapon. One wrong move, one misplaced word. Araminta could expose Sophie to a world eager to tear apart anyone who breaks its delicate rules. Sophie lives under constant threat not from thieves or storms, but from society itself, society that hates nothing more than a woman who refuses to stay in the place it assigns her. So she keeps her head down. She speaks only when necessary. She hides her noble features behind the plain mask of servitude, hoping no one will see the truth written in her eyes. And yet, Benedict has already seen something. Not the truth, not yet, but something bright, something honest, something that does not belong to a servant. His memory of the masked girl haunts him, and Sophie knows that if he ever connects the girl from the ball to the maid in the shadows, everything she has spent years protecting will fall apart. Her secret could destroy him as completely as it could destroy her. Because what would the Tun say if a Bridgerton fell in love with a girl who has no place, no title, and a past steeped in scandal? The danger grows each day. The secret grows heavier. Sophie feels the world tightening around her like a closing fist. And somewhere deep inside, she knows the truth cannot stay hidden forever. Secrets like hers do not fade. They rise. They claw. They break free. And when hers finally escapes, it will shake the Bridgertons, the Tun. And every rule that holds their world together, Benedict Bridgerton is a man caught between two worlds. The one he was born into, and the one he secretly longs for. On the surface, he is the second son of a powerful family, polished, charming, and endlessly admired. But inside, he is restless. He dreams of color instead of status, of passion instead of duty. And ever since the masked ball, every dream, every sketch, every breath seems to return to one face, the girl in silver. The girl who vanished before he could even ask her name. She has become both his inspiration and his torment. Days turn into weeks, and Benedict searches for her everywhere, in crowded streets, in glittering ballrooms, and even in the quiet corners of his own mind. Each time he sees a masked dancer, or hears a soft laugh, he turns, thinking it might be her. But she remains a ghost, beautiful, untouchable, haunting him with a memory that grows sharper instead of fading. He begins to paint her, trying to bring her back through strokes and shadows. Yet no matter how many portraits he attempts, none of them capture her spirit. He starts to wonder if he imagined her, if the magic of that night created a girl who was never real, but Sophie is real. So painfully real that Benedict crosses paths with her without ever realizing it. He sees her in the estate from time to time, a blur of movement, a quiet figure, a servant who keeps her head down. She is careful, always careful, never letting their eyes meet for too long. Still, something about her presence pulls at him, a softness, a gentleness, quiet strength that echoes the woman he cannot forget. Benedict feels the connection, but cannot explain it. And that confusion becomes its own battle. His family expects him to choose a suitable bride. The Tun expects him to follow tradition. But Benedict's heart refuses to bend. This longing becomes a burden he carries everywhere. At dinners, he drifts away in thought. Social events, he scans the crowd like a man searching for a missing piece of his soul. Even his art changes. What once brought him joy now fills him. With frustration, he paints to find her, not for beauty, creates to remember her, not to escape. And still, she does not appear. Benedict begins to question himself. Is he chasing a dream? A fantasy? Or is fate playing a cruel trick by placing the right woman in his arms only to steal her away? The more he searches, the more he feels trapped. Between the life he is expected to live and the life he secretly desires. A life where love is chosen, not assigned. A life where the masked girl stands beside him, unafraid, free and known. But Sophie has her secrets. And Benedict has no idea how close he truly is to the truth, or how much pain that truth will bring when it finally comes to light. The Tun loves beauty, wealth, and perfection, but nothing gives it more joy than tearing those things apart. London's social circles spin like a glittering wheel, and anyone who slips even slightly is crushed beneath it. Sophie knows this better than anyone. She moves through the Bridgerton gatherings like a shadow, silent and unnoticed, yet always listening for the faintest whisper of danger. Because in the world of the Tun, rumors are weapons, and one careless slip can become a storm. And now, with Benedict unknowingly circling closer to her secret, that storm begins to form. Araminta feels it first. She has a cruel instinct, a sharp sense that Sophie is hiding more than she admits. Every time she catches Sophie looking toward the Bridgerton's estate with quiet longing, Araminta's suspicion deepens. And suspicion, in her hands, becomes a tool sharper than any blade. She watches Sophie with hungry eyes, searching for anything she can twist into scandal. One missing glove, one late chore, one glance too long at the wrong gentleman. Araminta stores it all like ammunition, because nothing delights her more than the thought of ruining Sophie completely. The gossip of the Tun begins to echo her cruelty. Whispered questions glide through ballrooms like drifting smoke. Who was the masked girl at Lady Bridgerton's ball? Why did Benedict look so lost afterward? Why does he sketch a faceless woman again and again? The rumors grow legs, then wings, then teeth, and while none of them point to Sophie yet, she can feel the danger approaching like footsteps behind her. Every day becomes a tightrope walk. Sophie must serve tea without trembling. She must bow without breaking. She must breathe without revealing the fear clawing inside her chest. Because if anyone discovers even a hint of her true lineage, the Tun will not celebrate her. They will destroy her. The scandal of a nobleman's illegitimate daughter will ripple through every household, poisoning reputations and friendships, and Araminta will ensure Sophie takes the blame for all of it. But what frightens Sophie most is not the cruelty of society. It is the thought that Benedict might be dragged into the fire with her. If the Tun learns that he has feelings for a servant girl with a hidden bloodline, it will attack him with the same merciless hunger. They will laugh at him. They will shame him. They will claim he has thrown away his future for a woman unworthy of his name. And Sophie could not bear the thought of becoming a weapon used against him. Araminta senses this fear and presses harder. She begins appearing at unexpected moments, her voice sharp, her eyes gleaming, reminding Sophie of her place. She threatens punishment. She threatens exposure. She threatens everything Sophie has managed to hold together. And with each passing day, the cage around Sophie's life tightens, leaving less room to breathe, less room to hope, less room to hide. The Tun is watching. Araminta is hunting. And Sophie's secret stands on a cracking foundation, moments away from collapsing. When it falls, the shock will ripple through every corner of London, and the Bridgertons will feel the impact. Most of all, there comes a moment in every story when the truth stops knocking politely and begins pounding on the door. For Sophie, that moment draws closer with every breath she takes. The walls she has built around her secret walls of silence, fear, and careful control begin to crack. One by one, the lies she never wanted to tell start slipping through her fingers, and the world around her feels colder, tighter, less forgiving. Because the truth does not stay buried forever. It waits. It grows. And when it rises like a tidal wave. It begins with a mistake, a simple moment, second to long in Benedict's presence. She hands him a folded cloth, and their fingers touch just briefly, but enough for someone nearby to notice. A servant in a Bridgerton exchanging a soft look. In any other world, it would mean nothing. In the Tun, it means everything. Eyes sharpen, voices hush, and suddenly, Sophie feels dozens of gazes on her back, heavy and suspicious. Benedict senses it too, but he does not understand why Sophie steps away like she has touched fire. But Araminta understands. She watches Sophie retreat with a mixture of anger and delight, because Sophie dared to be close to a Bridgerton, and delight because she finally sees the thread she can pull to unravel Sophie completely. Araminta's whisper spreads through. The guests like poison. Does no one wonder who the girl at the ball truly was? It is a small spark, but the Tun is made of dry paper, and it bursts into flame almost instantly. Rumors begin swirling at terrifying speed. Some say Benedict's mysterious masked girl was a noblewoman. Others claim she was a thief, sneaking in under disguise. And then someone bold and cruel wonders aloud, what if she wasn't a guest at all? What if she was a servant? Feels the words strike her like a blow. The room spins. She cannot breathe. She knows she must escape before someone recognizes her face, her voice, her manner, anything that connects her to that night. But fate is not kind, and Araminta is even crueler. She steps forward during a quiet lull in the evening, her voice cutting through the chatter like a shard of glass. She reveals the truth the Tun has been hungry for: Sophie's name, her past, her connection to the Earl. Each word is a dagger, thrown without mercy. The room reacts instantly. Gasps, whispers, stunned silence. The perfect storm. Benedict hears Sophie's name and turns toward her with disbelief and heartbreak tangled in his eyes. The masked girl, the woman he could not forget, is the servant who has been under his nose all this time. The servant whose life is wrapped in scandal. For a moment, he does not move. He simply stands, wrestling with shock, confusion, and the overwhelming rush of realization. But Sophie moves. She steps back, trembling, tears fighting to break through. She never wanted this. She never wanted to bring shame to the Bridgertons. And as the Tun closes in, hungry for more, she feels the world collapse beneath her.
Alex.
Everything she has fought to protect, her dignity, her safety, Benedict crumbles in an instant. The truth is out. The masks are off, and nothing will ever be the same again. With Sophie's truth finally exposed, the world of Season 4 tilts on its axis. It's the Tun, always hungry for scandal, now circles around this revelation like vultures waiting for the last breath of a dying secret. Every rule of their glittering society is suddenly questioned. Can a Bridgerton truly love a woman born in the shadows? Can a servant with noble blood ever claim her place without tearing down the walls around her? The answer is no longer simple. Because Sophie's story does not end with her exposure, it begins with it. For Benedict, the reveal is the breaking point. The moment that shatters the lines he has drawn between duty and desire. He now knows the truth, the woman he loved beneath The mask is the same woman he has walked past 100 times, blind to the light she carried. And now he must face a choice that will define his future: follow the expectations of his family and society, or fight for the girl the world has already judged as unworthy. Benedict has always lived in the gray space between obligation and freedom. But Season 4 forces him to step into the fire and prove what kind of man he truly is. The Bridgertons, known for their unity and grace, find themselves pulled into the center of the chaos. Some members may defend Sophie. Others may fear how this scandal threatens their carefully guarded reputation. Lady Bridgerton herself must decide whether to stand behind the love her son has chosen or encourage him to let the dream go. These choices will shape the entire season, building tension not only between families but within the Bridgertons themselves. Meanwhile, Sophie is pushed to the edge of her strength. She must face the world without the shield of anonymity. Once depended on, the Tun whispers about her every move. Araminta seeks more ways to break her spirit. And despite everything, Sophie still carries the heavy belief that her existence brings more harm than good to the man she loves. Her heart pulls her toward Benedict, but fear pushes her away. Her journey becomes one of courage, of learning that she is worthy of love, worthy of respect, and worthy of a life beyond servitude and shame. Season 4 is set to transform this quiet, hidden love story into a storm of emotional battles, stolen moments, and choices that will define the fate of two souls who were never meant to meet. It cannot stay apart. Whether the adaptation follows the novel or takes a bold new path, one truth remains: Sophie's secret has set everything in motion. It has broken the silence, cracked the rules, and opened the door to a season filled with heartbreak, rebellion, and a love powerful enough to challenge an entire society.